David Lean is an Academy Award-winning British film director. He directed some massive movies like Lawrence of Arabia and Bridge on the River Kwai, which are considered epic movies just because of the scale that the production needed to be for the movie actually to be made. I mean, they were massive movies. He also directed a couple smaller scale movies, but still just as good. Dr. Zivago, Brief Encounters, Great Expectations, Oliver Twist, and many more. 21, I believe, in all movies that he directed, which is an enormous amount, especially back in the day, which was the mid-1900s, because film was just a lot more complicated back then. There wasn't digital, it was all on strips. I mean, it was just crazy complex. He directed a ton. He was born on March 25th. Let me double check that. I always get mixed up between March and May, but I think he was born on March 25th, 1908. He was born to Quaker parents. Yes, March 25th, 1908. He was born to Quaker parents who sent him to a Quaker school, and while studying David Lean, I figured out that the teachers at the school actually considered him a dud student. They said he was part pupil and part dreamer, which is ironic. I mean, that's just how a lot of directors actually are. They were mostly thinking about other things, envisioning things, even if they didn't want to become movie directors at the time. They just were thinking outside the box. And at the age of 10, his uncle actually gave him a camera, which was not something you normally did. You usually gave kids cameras at the age of 16 or 17. It was never at the age of 10, but this uncle did it. I guess he believed in David, so he gave him the camera, and David cherished the camera. He loved it. He adored it. He was careful with it. He made films. He developed the films. He was just super excited about it. And then all of a sudden, at the age of 16, his dad left, ran off with another woman, and it devastated him. He was very, very much saddened by his father's absence, and he was talking to an aunt while he was working through that whole ordeal, and his aunt was telling him that he needed to do what he wanted to do to make him happy, and especially in future, like as his job. So he took that to heart, quit his job at an accounting firm he had, and immediately went to a studio that was around town called Gaumont Studios, and applied for a job. And that he actually got hired as an intern due to his enthusiasm of film. So he got hired due to his enthusiasm, but in internship you don't get paid. So his first month he did not get paid, but they ended up hiring him at the end of the month. So he got hired as a T-boy, and then moved up to a clapper boy, and then moved up to a third assistant editor, which he's just a great example of working from the bottom to the top, because he ends up directing movies like Lawrence of Arabia. But his first movie, and I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm going to read it, that he edited was, Freedom of the Seas. That was his first movie he edited, and before he edited his last movie, before moving on to directing, he edited, there's a lot of edited in that sentence. He edited at least 12 to 14 films, which was a ton at that time and at that age. He was very young, 18, I believe, when he was in Gaumont Studios. So his first movie, or his last film he edited, was One of Our Aircraft is Missing. And then after that, he got signed to direct a movie. So his first movie he directed was called In Which We Serve. And that really opened up doors for him. It wasn't a huge hit, but the studio, it made revenue. So the studio let him do it again, and then again, and then again. And then he directed Oliver Twist, and that was a huge hit. And then after that, the doors were kind of blown away. It was wide open. He could do whatever he wanted. Then he directed Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge on the River Kwai, a lot of those movies I mentioned earlier. All of them were massive successes. He won Academy Awards for Bridge on the River Kwai and Lawrence of Arabia. Just huge hits. He was basically the Stephen Spielberg of the mid-1900s. I mean, he was just a massive movie maker. Everybody loved him, and I encourage you to go see or watch, you can't really see him anymore, but to go watch some of his films because they are phenomenal. They're great movies, great stories, great actors, and he was a very inspirational person. Thank you.